everybody, and welcome to Solo Female and Life Lessons. My name is Santina Doyle, and I'm here in my Honda CR-V, as you can probably tell. This lesson is going to be a little different than usual, besides the fact that I'm in my car, because I'm going to be basically telling you a story, and then I'm going to be giving you a series of lessons, probably 6 or 7 different lessons that I've learned because I have been car camping full-time. And the reason for that is my son, who stays with me 1 week and then goes to his father's another week, goes back and forth, alternating weeks, was with me on a Friday and contacted me on a Saturday to let me know that he tested positive for COVID. Now, I haven't had COVID yet, and I'm really scared to get it because I have several risk factors. So does his father. At the time that he contacted me, I was visiting my late 80s year-old parents, and in another city, not too far away from where I live. And he had tested positive, I guess, that Saturday morning. And since I had sent him off with a hug and a kiss on Friday, I knew that I had been exposed. It was very scary for me, for them. I'm not as scared to get it myself as I am to give it to my parents and cause a bad outcome for one of them. For some reason, my phone is slipping a lot, so let's see if I can straighten it up. Sorry. That's not going to work either. Okay. Maybe that's better. So we kind of sat and thought and talked about it. I put my mask on. I went into a different room, kept my distance from them while I was trying to figure out what to do. And, you know, it didn't occur to me right away that I could car camp out in my lawn, in my driveway, at my house. Not right away anyway. The first thought that came to me was that I would have to get a hotel room, which I looked at the CDC website and was looking up, you know, what they recommend you do in terms of testing yourself once you're exposed to someone who tested positive. And they did say that you should test, if you have no symptoms, you should test after 5 days. And I did take a test at that time, and I was negative, but I wasn't going to take any chances with my parents. So about 10 o'clock at night, after my son notified me that he tested positive, I decided to leave. The CDC advice also was that you not be around people who are at high risk, like the elderly. And so, even though my parents tried to dissuade me and said, just stay and social distance, I decided it was much safer if I left. And I did go to a hotel, which was good because it gave me an opportunity to think about things and kind of clear my head without the pressure of them being around, or I'm being around them. And so it occurred to me while I was in the hotel room that I have everything that I need in order to car camp successfully full-time already. I'm not full-time, I am working full-time still, and yet I have accumulated all of the things that make it very comfortable for me to be living out of my car. And so I figured that this was going to be a piece of cake, and that it would be like an extended vacation, like an extended car camping trip, which I take for recreation. But honestly, I learned some amazing lessons when I was car camping just in my driveway that I probably would never have learned until I went full-time, which I am planning to do when I retire in about 2 years. And I'm glad that I learned those lessons now. They are going to impact what I do in my future when I do retire. And I also probably have more lessons to learn. So I think that's what's amazing about this lifestyle and about car camping and living out of a vehicle or van life, is that you're constantly learning and you're constantly evolving as a person and deciding your own fate as much as is possible. And that means that your wishes and your lifestyle could change dramatically from week to week or month to month or year to year, and none of it is wrong. So any of us who decide to do this part-time, full-time, or something in between, attempt it full-time and go back to a sticks and bricks, none of it is wrong. It's just what we want, and that's the freedom of this lifestyle that I think everyone is seeking. So in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to go over some very specific lessons that I learned and tell you about the things that I experienced car camping full-time while my son had COVID. Thankfully, he's 20 years old and obviously very self-sufficient, and so I really didn't have to be around to get him through his illness. He was capable of getting through that, taking care of himself the whole time. It was comforting for me to be near him in case he needed me to run to the store for him, because I didn't want him to go out and expose other people, and he didn't want to go out and expose other people, plus he felt rotten. So that was nice that I could be there for him if he did need me, but he really didn't need me. I think I did one grocery haul for him and he was fine with the food that I got him for the rest of the time that he was convalescing. But some of the things that I'm going to talk about in the next couple of lessons are going to be, number one, the emotional roller coaster that I went through going full-time car camping just in my driveway, and what that might mean for my future van life, and also something that I never expected. So wanted to pass on that information to you, because if you're planning on going part-time or full-time, you might feel some of the same emotions that I felt. Now, granted, some of my emotions were probably enhanced by the stress of thinking that I exposed my parents, my elderly parents, to COVID, the stress that I might have been exposed to COVID, my stress, feeling stress about my son and his recovery. But I think they were really real emotions, and I think they were very valid emotions that perhaps a lot of people who do go full-time would go through. And I never even thought that I would feel that way. I expected when I went full-time that it would be a relief, and a smooth transition, and I really experienced something very different. And then I'm also going to talk about food, again, which I've talked about before, but food on the road this time, as opposed to food that you pack up for a car camping experience. When I go full-time in my van, I was hoping to be able to just grab food as I traveled, and I learned some lessons about that. Also about comfort in the car. The week or more that I was living full-time in my car was a very hot week, not the hottest that we've experienced here in Pennsylvania, but it got up to 80, 82 every day, and I was working. And so that meant that I needed electricity to run my laptop and internet, which thankfully my Wi-Fi did extend beyond the perimeter of my house. So I was working in a hot week, and I'll talk about the different things that I needed for comfort that I didn't anticipate, that I've not needed before when I was camping. I will talk about power and the lessons that I've learned about what I'm going to have to do when I get on the road. I won't be working when I'm on the road, but I will still need power for my devices, my phone. I still use my phone for entertainment. I watch YouTube videos. And so power and Wi-Fi, which obviously I won't have on the road unless I do decide to go with Starlink. And then I learned some things about the expenses, the amount of money that it might take to do this full time. I was thinking that my expenses would be lower than what I'm currently living off of. I'm very frugal, but I anticipated that the amount of money that I'm spending in rent now would probably be the amount of money that I would spend in gasoline in the future in traveling. But I did experience some additional expenses that I didn't anticipate by being full-time in my vehicle, and so I'll cover those. Also, working was an additional stress. I did let everyone know that I had COVID in my family, that I was avoiding it by staying out in my car. I'm sure they all thought that I was very weird. I work for a very conservative Fortune 100 company, and I'm sure they thought it was the weirdest thing, that instead of going somewhere to someone's house, I was camping in my car. But that's okay. You know, bring your whole self to work, right? And then last but not least, I'll talk about the challenges of having to make plans for how to use the restroom. You know, I've car camped for a long time now, and I'm very comfortable peeing in a jar, peeing in the woods, finding a place when I need to dig a cat hole. Let's put it that way. But that is a different experience when you're recreating and you have the flexibility and time to go wherever you need to go, than when you're working and you need to use the restroom between meetings. And yes, could I have put some masks on and run into my house? Yes, but I didn't. This has been a very eye-opening experience for me, that my son got COVID, was staying in my apartment while he convalesced, and that I decided not to be exposed to him and to stay outside of my apartment in my car. It must have been for, I would say, 10 days. I meant to count it up before I started this video, but it was definitely at least a solid week, if not longer. It was certainly a solid week of work life, and then probably the 2 weekends on either end. And then he notified me that he tested negative, and I came home, wiped down all the surfaces, and he helped me wipe down all the surfaces, and I've been fine ever since. So just wanted to introduce this number of lessons that I've learned from car camping full-time, and share that information with you in case you're interested in doing this lifestyle full-time as well and you haven't launched yet, or if you're interested in doing this lifestyle part-time. There are lessons to be learned here as well for just the weekend warrior who wants to go car camping. What I can tell you is that because I've been car camping for a while, I was very prepared. Not only did I have all of my camping gear and inventory of things that I needed right in my laundry room, which is right inside of my door that I go into the apartment, which he wouldn't have been in. Being sick, he wasn't doing laundry, and that door is kind of shut off from the rest of the house. And so I felt comfortable going in there and grabbing all of my gear, and it was very organized, which is nice, because I keep all my camping gear very organized in my laundry room so that I can grab it and know that I'm not missing anything and everything is in one place. So not only was that something that worked out for me, in addition, you probably have seen the videos where I just recently bought a tent for my hatchback, which was so crucial in the hot weather that I had that huge screened area of the back of my car, and it gave me a sense of a living space that you don't get when your hatch is closed. You feel, at least I feel in my Honda CR-V, that it's not, you know, I have plenty of headroom. I don't feel claustrophobic in my car, but when the hatchback is closed, it feels small. When the hatch is open with the tent on it, it feels wide open and light and breezy and airy, and it was just the universe giving me a blessing that I had purchased that and learned how to put that up right before I had to go car camping. And then some other just amazing things happened. For instance, I never have taken my laptop to my parents when I go to visit them. I always plan to come home and get to work the weekday after my weekend visit with my parents, and I leave my laptop at home, just assuming I'm going to be coming home on the weekend and you know, have my laptop available that next Monday. And for some reason, this time, something told me, take your laptop with you. And I did. And so I was able to work from their house. I think, did I work? No, I worked from the hotel, not from their house. So on a Saturday night, I left, and on a Sunday was working from the hotel in the morning. And then came to my apartment and figured out what I needed to purchase in order to be able to work from my front porch, which is where I get my Wi-Fi, but there's no electric outlet out there. So had to buy an extension cord and pop that into an outlet in my living room, and extend that to my front porch so I could have electricity. So learned a lot of things, want to share them with you, and hopefully will give you some ideas if you either want to experience more comfortable car camping while you're recreating, or if you're thinking about going full-time. I'll share with you some of the experiences that I had so you could see if that would be tenable for you, and if you are still interested in the lifestyle, or perhaps because of some of the things that I experienced and we'll talk about, you might reconsider doing the lifestyle. To be honest with you, I have some doubts about whether I am going to be able to do this full-time or not, just because of some of the things that I experienced while I was doing the car camping while my son was sick with COVID. I think I'm still going to be trying it in a couple of years when I retire, but I might change the way that I do the full-time van life. I'm still planning on buying a van. I'm still planning on traveling around the United States, but I also recognize now some limitations that I have for comfort and for connectivity that I didn't think about before, and that may change what I do in the future. So stay tuned for the next couple of videos, and hopefully these lessons will be of value to you in your car camping or van life journey. And thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the road.